Chapter 9 Vital Village Thriving Towns. Prabhakar at the blacksmith shop. Prabhakar sat watching the smith at the local shop. There was a small bench on which iron tools like axes and sickles were laid out ready for a shell. A bright fire was burning, and two men were hitting and beating metal rods into shape. It was very hot and noisy, and yet it was fascinating to watch what was happening. Iron tools and agriculture. We often take the use of iron for granted today. Things made of iron and steel are part of our daily lives. The use of iron began in the subcontinent around 3000 years ago. Some of the largest collection of iron tools and weapons were found in the magnetic bundles about which you read in chapter 5. Around 2500 years ago, this is evidence for the growing use of iron tools. This included access for clearing forest and the iron ploughshares, as we had seen. The ploughshares was useful for increasing agriculture productions. Other step to increase production, irrigation. So the kings and kingdoms you have been reading about could not have excited without the support of a flourishing village, while new tools and the system of transplantation increased production. Irrigation was also used. Irrigation works that were built during this time included canals, well and artificial lakes. If you look at the chart, you will find that some of the stage in the constitutions of irrigation work are maintained. Fill in the rest by using the following phases. Labor is provided by the people. Farmers also benefit because crop production is far more certain. Farmers have to increase production to pay taxes. Kings provided money and plan irrigation works. Kings need money for armies, palace, forest. They demand tax and from farmers. This is possible with irrigation. So does revenue. So productions irrigation increases. Who lived in the village. There were at least three different kind of people living in most village in the south and northern part of the subcontinent. In the Tamil regions, largest landlords were known as Velar. Ordinary plugmen were known as Uzavar, and landless laboratories including cells were known as Kadiasir and Admai. In the northern part of the country, the village headman was known as the Grama Bhujko. Usually men from the some family had the positions for generations. In other words, the post was hereditary. The Grama Bhujko was often the largest land owner. So generally he had slaves. The hired workers to cultivate the land. Besides, as he was powerful, the king often used him collect taxes from the village. He also functioned as the judge and sometimes as a policeman. Apart from the Grama Bhujka, there were other independent farmers known as Grafpits, most of whom were similar landowners, and there were men and women such as the Dasa Karmakara who did not own land and had to earn a living working on the fields owned by others. In most villages there were also some craft persons such as the blacksmith, potter, carpenter and weavers. The earliest Tamil competitions or some of the earliest work in Tamil known as the Sangam literatures were composed around 2300 years ago. These texts were called Sangam because they were supposed to have been composed and complete in assemblies known as the Sangams of the poets that were held in the cities of Madurai. The Tamil terms are maintained about the found in Sangam literatures, finding out about cities, stories, travels, sculpture, and archaeology. You may have heard of the Jatakas. These were stories that were probably composed or by ordinary people and them written down and preserved by Buddhist monarchs. Here is a part of the Jataka stories which tells how a poor man gradually become rich. The clever poor man. Once upon a time there was a clever poor young man who lived in a city. His only research was a dead rat. He started off by selling enough for a coin to a hotel for their cat. Then on one day there was a storm. The king's garden was littered with branches and leaves, and the gardener was at the loose to how to clear the mess. The young man offered to clean the garden if he could keep the wood and leaves. The gardener agreed at once. The young man rounded up all the children who were playing with an offer of sweets for every stick and leaf that they could collect in no time. Every scarp has been neatly pilled near the entrance. Just then the king's porter was on the lookout for food with which to bake his pots. So he took the whole lot and paid the young man for it. Our young man no thought of another plan. He carried a jar full of water to the city gate and offered water to 500 grass cutters. They were placed and said, "You have done up a good turn. Tell us what can we do for you?" He replied, "I'll let you know when I need your help." He then made friends with a trader. One day, a trader told him, "Tomorrow, a horse dealer is coming to town with 500 horses." Hearing this, our young man went back to the grass cutters. He said, "Please give me a bundle of grass each, and don't sell your grass till mine is solid." They agreed and gave him 500 bundles of grass. When the horse dealers could not buy grass anywhere else, he purchased the young man's grass for 1,000 coins. Let's occupations of the person mentioned in a story. For each one try and decided they would have lived only. Why do you think the horse dealer was coming to the cities?